Hi, this is Dr. Elizabeth Saunders Medlock with your life coaching tip of the week for the week of September 10th, 2012. Welcome back to everybody. I hope you had a great Labor Day last week. This week I'm going to talk about something that was an article that I recently put in my September newsletter, and it's something that people ask me about all the time, is how do I go about changing or breaking a bad habit that I don't want to do anymore. I've been doing it for years. I set it up to change the habit and I keep going back to it. So I'm going to talk to you about a few important steps on how you change a habit. The first thing you really have to do when you're trying to get rid of a habit, and usually it is a bad habit that we're trying to get rid of, is really clearly identify what that habit is. So you can't be vague about what you're trying to change. You have to very specifically define what it is that you want to get rid of. So for example, if the habit is that you binge eat at times, let's say you binge eat on the weekends or you eat really bad food, that could be a habit that you want to break. Or it could be that you have a habit of holding in your emotions and getting angry at people, but holding it in and not really telling people how you feel. Or you can have a habit of, I consistently take on things that I don't really want to do. I have a hard time saying no. I get myself trapped in these situations. Or you could have a habit of something as simple as biting your nails or lashing out at people on certain days. But whatever the habit is, however it manifests itself, you have to get really specifically clear about what that habit is and define it as best you can. The second step you really have to do is really think about, okay, I have this habit. What is it about? Why? Why is it happening? Why does the habit occur? So define it first, then kind of get into the why does it occur. And then later into the when does it occur. So why do you have this habit in the first place? Everyone develops their habits for a reason. So you can start really talking about, well, why do I binge eat? What is that binge eating about? Am I binge eating because I like a specific food? Am I binge eating to deal with stress? A lot of times we develop habits because they are ways that we reduce stress, reduce anxiety, cure boredom, all those different things become the why. So really define, okay, I have this habit, I've been holding on to it for all these years. Why am I doing it? What purpose has it been serving for me? Which kind of leads you into the third step was, okay, what need is this fulfilling and how am I going to replace it? Because once you get rid of a bad habit, it's fulfilling a need. So you have this need that's not being fulfilled and you have to replace it with something else. And that's where people really get tripped up, is that they don't ever examine why is this happening? What need is it filling? And they don't ever find an alternative. If you don't find an alternative, you will always go back to the bad habit because you have nothing to replace it with. So for example, if you're biting your nails or binge eating or drinking too much, some of it could be how you reduce your stress. So if the why is, okay, I reduce my stress through binge eating, then you're going to want to binge eat every time you feel really stressed and anxious. So you have to tell yourself, okay, I have to refine a replacement behavior for that. So think about what could I be doing other than binge eating, and then really start to examine. You can have one replacement, two replacements, but you have to at least have one. But then again goes back to, you have to know the why and you have to know the other things. Look at the habit in terms of, is it a need for reducing stress and anxiety? Is it a need for feeling important? Some people take on a lot of stuff or can't say no because it makes them feel important. It may be fulfilling your need for your ego, an ego-based kind of, it makes me feel good about myself. I'm getting my ego stroked by doing this. Or it makes me feel powerful. It makes me feel more in control when I do this. Then really examine when is it happening? At what times? What times of the day? Who are you with when the bad habit happens? What happens right before you engage in the bad habit? How does engaging in the bad habit make you feel after and during? How many times a day are you doing it? What's the cycle look like? What are the reasons that you give yourself for doing this bad habit? So once you've examined all that, you can kind of figure out what need is it fulfilling, and then you can say, okay, if I'm doing this to make myself feel better about myself or to stroke my ego, then what are some other things I could be doing to do that besides doing this thing? So you have to have a replacement. Then once you have the replacement, what you really have to do is go out and set yourself up so that it becomes very, very hard for you to engage in the bad habit. So if you're a binge eater, like take all the bad food out of your house. If you bite your nails, put on gloves. If you're going to smoke, get rid of all your cigarettes, put the patch on, take the Chantix, but make the conditions difficult for you to be engaged in that bad habit. Make it really hard so that you have to, if you don't want to drink anymore, clear your house with alcohol, don't go to bars. I mean, AA will tell you that. But even if it's habits like I'm taking on too many responsibilities or having trouble saying no, don't get yourself set up, don't join things, don't engage in conversations, kind of walk away when you think people are going to ask you things. But think about ways, how can I set up the conditions or the rules out there to where it's going to make it very, very difficult. So put obstacles, put tons of walls and obstacles in your way for doing the bad habit. Then kind of go out there and try it out. And every time you want to do the bad habit, think about your replacement habit. The idea is that when you feel that kind of bad habit going on and you know what your triggers are for doing it, because you know the why, you know what need it's fulfilling. So when that all comes into play, you want to automatically, you're going to feel anxious, you're going to feel stressed, you're going to feel like, ooh, I really want to do that, is to create that space to lean back, observe yourself in that moment, relax, breathe, and kick into whatever you decided to do to replace it. For example, if you decided instead of binge eating, I'm going to go out and take a walk, that means take a breath, breathe, put on your shoes, haul it out the door, and go for your walk in those moments that you really want to eat. So have that replacement kick in immediately. And then the last thing is set up some kind of reward system for yourself. So let's say you go for a whole week without binge eating, then you get to have one special treat, or you get to buy yourself an outfit. We all know that these rewards and incentives, they could be small, they could be big. I get a bubble bath, I get to go out on a date, I get a new outfit. I'm going to buy myself that thing in that store that I always wanted, or that thing online, or I'm going to go eat this really good meal with a friend or hang out with people. It could be anything, but incentivize your system. We know incentives works. That's the last thing, is reward yourself, incentivize yourself for when you don't engage in the bad habit. So good luck changing your habits. It's not easy, but we can all do it. And I hope you have a great week. I'll see you next week for another tip. Bye.